you to get out of it and get out. They both look the same. Which one's the boy?
Maybe that one.
But look for a cock.
The mother knows.
Do anything but what I ask, and I'll bleed the whole lot of you.
Ooh, a new opening animation, and it's thread this time. You know, I should reward the creative effort of trying something new with the sin removal, is what I would say if I weren't a cynical asshole who has lost all joy in life. The map animations were perfectly fine, and they gave us a bigger picture of where things were in Westeros. You're just trying to distract us from all still being pissed you were too lazy to write a new theme song.
Not removing a sin for this awesome new opening animation. Also, complaining about the main theme. That's worth this many sins.
Scene opens with a raven. Making sure the first visual I get for season 2 of a Rebound series is a reminder of how wasted the three-eyed raven was at the end of Game of Thrones. You may ask, TVSins, how long will it be before House of the Dragon doesn't get sins for Game of Thrones season 8? And I'll look down at you from my lofty microphone stand and hiss, never.
Which of course means I have to give you a sin for the idiocy of forgetting the topic of your own video. You're not sinning season 8 of Game of Thrones, you're sinning season 2 of House of the Dragon. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that he manages to forget his own topics within 1 minute, but I certainly am disappointed.
This is not a sentence, but an honor.
Spoken like somebody in charge.
Yeah? And what's the sin? Oh, you're not going to explain? Okay.
Raven has told Rhaenyra that her son is dead. She needs to know it for certain.
Did the raven tell her how her son died? Because I'm pretty sure he was eaten. Those are remains she probably doesn't want to find.
Yes, the raven told her how he died, but she still wants to confirm the information. This sin is completely pointless and stupid.
More ships put out to sea this morning to fortify the blockade.
Wait, I thought What's-Her-Face was running the blockade herself. Is this a different blockade? I'm sitting the previously on again, but this time for not previously oning hard enough.
I'll remind you, not for the first time, that your own stupidity is not a sin of this show. This is the same blockade, which is operated by the Velaryon fleet under the control of Lord Corlys. His wife, Princess Rhaenys, is helping by patrolling the skies on her dragon. Keep up.
With all the dragons around, you really only have one of those scorpion things? That's just poor base planning.
Where are you getting this notion that they only have one? Just because we only see one doesn't mean they only have one.
So, how exactly does this dragon identification training work if you're manning a scorpion? Do they take all the new recruits into a room where there are oil paintings of each dragon and their rider to memorize? Do you have to spot dragon moles from a mile out? Shouldn't there just be a way for the riders to signal ahead that they're coming in so they don't get accidentally scorpioned because their dragon is wearing a different wig that day?
Asking irrelevant questions and pretending that they're sins. Each dragon looks different in certain ways, such as the design of their wings or the shapes of their heads, their size, etc. Looking at them in person is probably sufficient.
This handmaiden looks so much like Emma Stone in Poor Things that it bothers me. That's all. It just bothers me.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
The dragons. The rats.
Obvious foreshadowing is obvious, except to all the people who should absolutely be tuned into her now after that whole Beast Beneath the Boards fiasco.
Discount Jeremy is suggesting that a medieval society should be more tuned in to a seemingly insane person. Yeah, that's not how it works, bud.
Oh, we should have just killed her when we had the chance.
Yeah, a lot of that going around in this show.
And people making mistakes is not a sin. It's incredible to me that Discount Jeremy thinks characters should never make mistakes and be perfect people. That would just be boring and unrealistic.
I have completed questioning the whole of the castle staff. They produced rather interesting details, but I am satisfied I have exposed all who betrayed our trust.
And what of them?
They no longer breathe our air.
Giving someone this task and not requiring at least a highly detailed spreadsheet of all the traitors. And no longer breathe our air. What does that even mean? Is it a riddle? Are they fish now?
This scene establishes how implicitly Alicent trusts Larys. She doesn't want to know all the traitors because she trusts him to handle it without her. As for you pretending not to know what he meant by that line, I don't think I need to explain why that was super cringeworthy and stupid.
Standing way too close to an upset dragon and rider. You could be roasted from that distance. In the choice of hauling ass or rubbernecking, hauling ass should always win when a dragon is involved.
But they don't end up getting roasted, so this sin is completely irrelevant.
We already made a promise to all the Crownlands that a tithing of livestock would be necessary to sustain the dragons for their increased activity and, pray not, eventual fighting.
Okay, but you're the hand of the king. Surely you looked at all the petitions that would be heard today and saw the first one was from a shepherd. You don't think to tell the king this ahead of time? Better yet, why accept any petitions from shepherds when you know you can't give them what they ask for? Just deny the petition before it reaches court. Problem solved. You're kind of a hand, Otto.
And what makes you think he saw the petition before it reached the court? That was never established, so this entire sin is based on a dishonest premise.
Perhaps we could just return his sheep. He came all this way.
Is the joke here that Aegon is actually trying to be magnanimous? Well, I don't want that. I've already decided not to like him.
So you're ignoring the nuance of his character in favor of a sin? Yeah, that sounds about right for you.
I would think, as we find ourselves standing within a hair's breadth of wall, that you would wish to be viewed differently.
Employing a master of whispers. Every castle has one, but I don't like them. I don't trust them. They're smarter than me, which I resent, and if I wanted to be easily manipulated, I'd just visit my grandma.
So you admit that everyone has them because they're a necessity, but you still sin it? That's dumb.
I requested an audience hours ago.
There were many petitions.
Yeah, he was working while you were insulting your new handmaidens by not letting them bathe you. Just let me bathe you, is what your handmaidens are probably saying right now.
Discount Jeremy has a boner.
His son took his eye and was never punished for it.
Let it go. Of all the plot points to keep going back to in season 1, this is the most tiresome. Aemon got a cooler shiny rock eye out of it. Without the eye patch, nobody would be able to tell Aemon apart from the other 50 men with long white hair in this show. Luke did him a favor.
Jesus Christ, how does Discount Jeremy not understand the concept of wounded pride? It makes total sense in context that this is still a big deal for them, but Discount Jeremy takes the situation out of context in order to force a dishonest sin out of it.
We only need to mind Aegon until the novelty of rule is spent.
Yeah, I can see him getting tired of being an all-powerful ruler. People get tired of those roles all the time.
Yeah, I don't know why you're acting as if this isn't the case. This has happened numerous times throughout real-world history. Diocletian, Charles V, Juan Carlos of Spain, Albert II, Beatrix of the Netherlands, Harold Fairhair, Margaret II, the list goes on and on. In short, Discount Jeremy doesn't know shit about history.
You'd honor that made you stand by and watch as the High Towers usurped the throne.
I'm pretty sure it was honor that drove him to steal Viserys' crown and bring it back to Rhaenyra, swearing loyalty to her in the process. Did you forget the season 1 finale, Daemon?
And that's exactly what he reminds Daemon of, but you cut that part of the conversation out of the video. His dishonesty knows no ends.
Did you find what you needed?
Did she find a mostly eaten dragon and cloak that had somehow been fished out of miles of ocean and brought to the perfect shore for her to find? Somehow, yes.
Discount Jeremy has never heard of tides.
Lady Jane Arryn has pledged her support in exchange for a dragon to guard the Vale.
Whoa, 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 a dragon? Were you authorized to broker such a massive deal? I think that might have exceeded your authority as messenger, Jacaerys.
It didn't, as clearly shown in this scene where Rhaenyra accepts the terms. Dude, just watch the show.
Damn it. Who left this bowl of onions in the recording studio? Why would you even bring a bowl of onions in here? I'm sending this absolutely real bowl of onions.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes, cliche.
I'm told you bear a mislike for the High Towers.
The High Towers.
Wow, so when Lara Strong said he'd rooted out all the traitors, he must have meant except for that super obvious guard in the City Watch.
What makes you think this guy's traitorous ways are obvious? We haven't seen him interact with anyone else, so you're just making shit up to force yet another dishonest sin out of the episode.
He would always be Aegon the Strong.
Come now, if anyone deserves the Strong title, it's Jacaerys. Strong literally flows through his veins. Get it? Because his dad was... Do you get it? Come on, it's a strong joke.
Boring! Wait off limits it is. Different group of rat catchers waiting upstairs.
You're telling him this now?
Yes, because it's now relevant. He didn't think he needed to share this before. This isn't a mistake of the episode. It's a mistake of a character within the episode.
No head. No gold.
Title of my Olympic-themed sex tape?
Discount Jeremy makes a cringeworthy sex tape joke that isn't funny, cliche.
Risking starting a castle fire and burning King's Landing to the ground. You might ask how a stone castle would catch fire, and I'd say if Star Wars can have fire in space, House of Dragon can have stones catch on fire.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
I have a necklace. It's of great value.
Not answering the question you were asked.
In an attempt to save your child's life? How is that a sin?
So, where are all the guards? This is where the royalty sleeps, and we haven't seen a single guard outside of the throne room with Aegon. Aren't there like 100 white cloaks around the royalty at all times? Are they all on a pizza roll break?
I'm going to let Reddit take this one for me. It seems like the guards have been put in charge of the Scorpions, and maybe other tasks, on top of their bodyguard duties, so they are already spread thin, even if some of them haven't already defected, which is entirely possible. So there are far fewer of them in the keep to begin with, and Kristen Cole ordered the others away, so that he could do the nasty with Alicent. Furthermore, Egan was also getting drunk in the throne room, and he's the main person they're supposed to protect, so that would draw even more of them away from the keep.
The secret is to skin them first.
Tom, get me filleting knife.
Believe me, I had no choice.
Haha, take that, kid. I'm pretty sure you didn't kill anyone, but I'm gonna kick you anyway because you're carrying a bucket of ashes and it'll make for a really cool shot when you drop it.
Someone just murdered a member of the royal family. This scene is showing the White Cloaks, along with members of the household guard, rounding up suspects and people who could have stopped the assassination. I mean, sure, I shouldn't expect a guy who struggles to understand kids shows to comprehend this, but it's still frustrating.
The villain will be found.
Or conjured for political gain. You know, whichever comes first.
And why is this a sin? Are you suggesting that doing things for political gain doesn't happen? What the hell is this nonsense?
Where were the members of this council while the murderer threatened their king?
Were you also threatened to, Grace?
I could have been!
Look, mourning fathers are not supposed to be this funny, right? I mean, his son was just killed in his bed, and I'm over here laughing because he's in a rage as if someone's hiding all of his socks.
That fake-ass laugh. Also, what are you talking about? This sin is evidence that the TVSins writers are literally delusional. The actor is doing a fantastic job, but they're pretending his grief and rage aren't enough?
The man we apprehended is known to us. He's a gold cloak, noted for his brutal nature.
Oh, so when Laris said earlier that all the traitors were no longer breathing our air, what he actually meant was everyone except for this hulking dude with his well-known Hightower distaste and brutal nature.
Laris didn't know that he was a traitor yet. Discount Jeremy actually thinks that Laris is omniscient. This kind of stupidity is exactly what makes these videos such a slog to get through.
You would do well to ascertain if this is your sister's hand.
Oh, I totally forgot Rhaenyra was Aegon's sister. There the Targaryen family tree goes again, looking like a shrub caught in a garbage disposal.
That fake-ass laugh. Also, are you going to bother explaining why this is a sin? No? Okay then.
It could be any one of you in this room.
Briefly teasing us with House of the Dragon does Clue.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
Harris will do more for us now than 1,000 knights in battle.
1,000 knights in battle? At this point, I take half a dozen toddlers with foam noodles in battle just to give me something exciting to latch onto.
Me like big men hit other big men with sword. Me no like words too hard.
Helena, what you saw last night when you came to my room.
Can you please stop talking about your mediocre sex for 10 minutes? We took a poll and not a single living soul cares about your ride on the coal pole.
Thinking that a poll of TVSins fans counts for anything. People who are still subscribed to TVSins after their repeated lying, stupidity, and cringe can't be taken seriously.
I was hired by Daemon Targaryen.
He folded so fast. Is he seriously expecting his honesty to be rewarded? Look, guys, I know I technically did the beheading and all, but Daemon paid me to do it, so, we cool?
That fake-ass laugh. Also, he was hoping for more merciful treatment. Nobody is suggesting that this guy is intelligent, and he's also extremely desperate right now, so doing something like this makes total sense.
You hurt me.
Ask the man who just pulled off one of the most heinous acts imaginable. How can he be this naive? Harris didn't do anything wrong to you or your family, and look how he ended up. And somehow you're questioning whether or not they're going to punish you for that actual crime you committed?
Again, this guy has been shown to not be the most intelligent dude in Westeros, not to mention the fact that he's emotionally and physically beat, as well as desperate. People say and do stupid things in dire circumstances. That's not a mistake of the episode.
Aegon pulls a reverse Infinity War and immediately goes for the head. I'm not saying I want to see this man tortured, but I am shocked Aegon decided to end this so quickly instead of having even 2 minutes of fun first.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture. Also, Aegon is beyond upset. All he wants to do is get revenge. He's way too emotional to stop and think about what's going to hurt his son's killer the most. The next 2 sins in a row are a combination of Discount Jeremy asking irrelevant questions and then doubling down on his idiocy.
Oh, would you look at that. The carriage is conveniently stuck in the middle of all these inconvenient people for maximum anxiety inducement. Either these potholes have a beautiful sense of dramatic timing, or this scene is missing Otto Hightower snickering off screen with his faithful pal Muttley.
He randomly calls it convenient without justifying that analysis. King's Landing is a city with a large population and a lot of traffic on foot, in carriages, and on horseback. Potholes existing is not unrealistic whatsoever, so calling it convenient is pretty stupid.
Having lost my own son, that I would inflict such a thing. On Helena, of all people.
Rhaenyra, having an issue with killing sons, does rather make me wonder how she intends to dethrone Aegon, who, checks notes, yes, is in fact a son.
She's very obviously referring to young sons, and I think you knew that. You're delving into semantics while ignoring the actual information that Rhaenyra was getting across, which is dishonest.
I'm not on my way even now to Harrenhal to raise an army in your name, Rhaenyra. Yours!
While the next lover spat plays into its 3rd minute, I'll remind everyone that we were promised dragons in this house.
Me like big fire burned men. Me no like character. Me no like talking. Me only like sword and fire.
You ever notice how often they're just looking at random shit in this show? Do they not think I can make fun?
Skip.
Standing, guarding, waiting, excitement.
Why do you guys think that excitement is the only good thing a TV show can evoke? I can't even express in words how childish and stupid this line of thinking is.
The castle is defended against all enemies, now especially. How would I enter?
Your twin serves there at the pleasure of the so-called queen. They will mistake you for him if you play the part.
Okay, I can see this plan working if House of the Dragon was a Looney Tunes skit, but there's just too many questions here. What if his twin had shaved? What if his twin got a haircut? What if Rhaenyra changed the uniforms of her guards? None of which will be relevant, of course, because the episode is determined to do a sister-sister, and by golly, it's gonna deliver.
Discount Jeremy makes 2 pop culture references that aren't sins of the episode cliche. Also, you sort of admitted that all of your questions were irrelevant given that none of those things happened, but you also suggested that that's a sin. Why? Is it unrealistic for a guy to not shave and not get a haircut? The answer is obviously no. As for Rhaenyra changing the uniforms of her guards, that has a more in-depth answer. Rhaenyra is claiming the Iron Throne, and she wants the realm to take her claim seriously. Changing the uniforms of her Queen's Guard would represent a breaking of Westerosi tradition, and create a separation between her and the one who currently occupies the throne. It's about appearances. Changing things away from their traditional appearance makes her claim look less legitimate in the eyes of others. Also, despite all of that, Kristen is still making a bad decision here. But that's exactly the point. He's impulsive, that's part of his characterization, and it's not a mistake of the episode.
Do you remember of my uncle?
Part of me wishes they would use the person's actual name, but then I'd have to look up who that person is. So in a way, this is better. Her uncle could be anyone, which means I can pretend she's talking about someone fun, like, not a single person in the show is fun.
That's a personal opinion, and given the track record and general dishonesty of TVSins, nobody who uses their brain gives a shit about TVSins' opinions. But also, you being too dumb to remember the characters in this show is not a mistake of the episode, it's a mistake of your pathetic memory.
Surely the city cannot yet be short of food.
Indeed not. The blockade has been in place for, what, a week? If your city runs out of food in a week, you've got bigger problems than a blockade. If it's been longer than a week, here's a sin for your unannounced time jumps making me look dumb again.
Trust me, you don't need any help to look dumb. Also, do you really expect the show to announce small leaps in time? Big ones, yes, that's what it did in Season 1, but this is a medieval society where people travel by foot or horse, or sometimes boat, so it takes a long time for things and people to move around. Keep up.
The king has promised us some relief.
He has a point, and one of the perks of the whole monarchy deal is that if the king ever breaks his promise, you only have to wait an entire lifetime to be able to do all about it.
The show is literally making the point that Hugh is misplacing his trust. How can you sin the show for something you agree with?
Do not be foolish, Alan. To serve with a sea snake is to make your fortune.
I don't know if that still holds true. Didn't the sea snake get thrown overboard and sink into a coma, almost dying last season? I'd be more clear on the details, but anything vaguely exciting insists on happening off-screen.
But neither can he allow her to command him.
Pity. I have on occasion found that to be quite enjoyable.
Lord Corlys is now alluding to his sexual preferences, and please see previous sin about all the exciting stuff happening off-screen.
Me like excitement. Me no like character. Me no like talking. Me no like story. Me only like fight. And titties. Also, Discount Jeremy has a boner.
Said you carried his child.
Not everyone found the jest funny.
Stealing your jesting from old episodes of Archer.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
What's even worse than watching another person watching things? Watching that person watch a dragon do boring dragon stuff instead of the action we were promised.
Me no like. You know what? I think you get the point. Discount Jeremy doesn't know anything about storytelling or character development. He only wants to see people hitting each other with swords. From now on, for the rest of this season, anytime Discount Jeremy stupidly complains about the show having a story, I'm just gonna insert a random pop culture reference and give him 10 sins, starting now.
Are you not entertained?
Pretending to be his own twin. Brilliant.
Following something stupid with the word brilliant does not make it so.
And the episode is making this exact point through Otto Hightower, so once again you're sinning something you agree with.
Instead of judgment, you display impetuousness and diminish us in the eyes of our enemy, ill-considered, trifling.
Rhys Ifans continues to be one of the best parts of House of the Dragon, and this scene is nothing short of Shakespearean. And here's a preemptive sin for sidelining him.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
Dignity. I want revenge.
The war cry of the spicy bean burrito as it punches through my digestive tract.
Oh, shit.
The next 2 sins in a row are more examples of Discount Jeremy sinning things he agrees with.
Will regret this.
That line's meaningless in a show like this. Every episode has something horrible happen because someone f***ed up. The only people that feel anything at this point are the ones who know what's going to happen because they read the book. Everyone else is bored.
Considering how this show has an 8 on IMDb and an average rating of 82 on Rotten Tomatoes, this assertion Discount Jeremy just made is evidentially incorrect. You can dislike the show all you want, but the majority of people are clearly not bored.
I thought you were within. Sorry, lack of vigilance.
Just to be clear, not a single f***ing soul told these guards that Eric or whichever f***ing Rick works for Rhaenyra that there's an identical f***ing twin out there and that if he ever turns up where he shouldn't be, you should pay attention to that shit.
As much as I enjoy the fight between the brothers, there is some fortunate timing involved here. As for the part about the guards, they presumably are aware of the fact that Eric has a twin with the enemy, but that doesn't automatically mean they're expecting this ploy. I'm gonna call this one even and neither remove nor add any sins.
Believe me, I had no choice.
You had so many choices. You could have called Cole's bluff. You could have sailed to another city and started your life over. Maybe open a bar, become a medieval private pirate detective. I mean, that sounds f***ing epic. You could have even just turned yourself into Rhaenyra.
This entire sin is a perfect example of Discount Jeremy not understanding characterization. Eric is deeply concerned about his honor, and he received a direct order from his superior, so he's following it regardless of the fact that he doesn't agree with it. That's not a mistake of the episode, it's a mistake of the character within the episode.
Grace!
Your sovereign is under attack, and the best you can do is summon one guy in his jammies? If I'm the ruler and someone's trying to kill me in my bed, feel free to send all of the guards and even a couple of the cooks.
The serving girl ran directly to Laurent, who came directly to Rhaenyra's bedchamber. Think about it for a second, if that's even possible for you. If Laurent runs around gathering guards, then he's wasting precious time, and for all he knows, Rhaenyra could be dead by the time they arrive at her chamber.
Which is Eric?
Pulling a which double is my double cliche. Kirk exhausted that one with his bullshit in the undiscovered country.
First, that's not a cliche, and second, Discount Jeremy makes a
Forgive me.
Changing the twins' death to a murder to further traumatize Rhaenyra, the audience, and probably George R.R. Martin. Also, the show really failed to drive home a deep understanding of how kinslaying is a massive taboo in these stories. When I read about it, my entire perspective of Eric's choice to fall on a sword makes more sense. So the sin, of course, is reading.
Thinking that reading is a sin? I guess Discount Jeremy really is a Republican. But he also made a valid point about the books doing a much better job of explaining the taboo surrounding kinslaying, so now I don't know what to do. How about this? I'll remove a sin, but if he says anything else Republican during the rest of this season, he gets an automatic 100 sins.
The Hightowers still have strength, and you have a son there who'll take more kindly to instruction.
She does? There is another one? Please don't make me... who the f*** is Darren?
Once again, your stupidity does not count as a sin of the episode.
Allison f***ed Cole at the end of the episode. Cliché.
That's not a cliché.
Why is reverse cowgirl illegal in Alabama?
Why?
Because you can never turn your back on family.
put the boundary stones back.
We didn't move them.
Why did they move themselves then? Just rolled their way over so Bracken cows can fill their bellies on Blackwood grass?
The Assize at River
Fuck
Road.
the Assize. Fuck you. This is our land.
It's Bracken land. Babe killer.
What did you say?
Can you even get that thing up?
Title of my sex tape?
Discount Jeremy talks about his impotence.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, someone clearly graduated from the Moon Knight School of Fight Transitions.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
He is the basest of villains. He sullies the grave of his brother.
I cannot fault him for keeping his oath.
Being this polite about someone who was sent to assassinate you.
Did you not hear what she just said? Oh, who am I kidding? Of course he's not paying attention, let alone comprehending anything.
Otto Hightower would never have allowed this.
Even after a season and change of this show, every time I hear Hightower, I just think of Bubba Smith from the Police Academy movies.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Soon they will not even remember what it was that began the war in the first place.
I can't even remember what began this conversation in the first place. I was too busy envisioning my House of the Dragon Police Academy movie, so skip.
Discount Jeremy has amnesia, Alzheimer's, and dementia all at once ex machina. Also, Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
You teeter now at the point where none of it will matter.
You're not quite at that point yet, but give me a few episodes of Damon hallucinating in a moldy castle and I'll start to think none of the show's previous events really mattered.
Somehow, a guy who watches TV shows for a living doesn't understand character development. Make it make sense.
While on whatever the is going on in the mind of Kristen Cole, or what I like to refer to as will be when Eamon changes his name to Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Can't come soon enough because currently he is so one note. I'd rather spend more time on Kristen's journey to...
Okay, now I see it. You do have a monkey problem.
A monkey problem.
Yeah, I heard him the first time. You can kiss my wife, you can take her to bed, but you cannot make her laugh.
Call it what you will. I call it war. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
Well, usually someone places a playing card.
Skip.
Doing the cool coin flip between the knuckles trick from Doc Holliday and hoping we wouldn't notice.
Discount Jeremy makes a...
I was told you turned back from your ship to bring warning.
Again, something she wouldn't have had to do at all if Sir Eric had simply done as he was told and escorted her himself instead of sticking her with some nameless guard.
But what's the sin? I'm not hearing anything that's actually wrong with the episode. A character within the episode made a mistake, but that doesn't automatically mean the episode itself made a mistake.
They will be ruled either by you or by the usurper. And only one of you has shown yourself to be merciful.
Well, that's not true at all. Aegon tried to be merciful to a shepherd who was struggling with his flock and to blacksmiths who needed coin in advance for the war efforts. It's not his fault Otto scuttled one of those merciful efforts.
And now you're taking her words as objective fact rather than what they actually are, which is one character's perspective. It blows my mind that Discount Jeremy has the same intellect as the average 5-year-old.
I can't quite see what's happening here, but I do hear rain and Daemon's dragon. Honestly, with how dark this shot is, I'm getting flashbacks to the battle for Winterfell. And you know how we feel about Season 8 of Game of Thrones in these here parts.
While I appreciate taking shots at Seasons 5 through 8 of Game of Thrones, this shot isn't even close to the level of unseeable bull in the Battle of Winterfell. Maybe you just need some new eyes.
Sneaking, slinking, skulking. Excitement?
No, it's called tension. Somebody who watches TV for a living should know this.
Are we about to see Batman? Finally, Warner Bros. Owning both HBO and DC pays off.
Discount Jeremy makes...
I'm claiming Harrenhal.
Did they only have the one guard? If so, I don't understand how no one else has claimed this place prior to Daemon's arrival.
The show never suggests that they only had one guard. In fact, the implication is that whatever forces remained at Harrenhal weren't willing or prepared to fight Daemon's dragon.
If you've not yet surmised, you are welcome here.
Well, at least you're not going to be here too long. It's not like your ass will be parked here for the next 5 episodes to wander through hallucinations, hauntings by witches, and sex with your mom.
Yet again, Discount Jeremy doesn't understand character development.
The answer to that is lost in time.
Ah, yes, the Maz Kanata method of storytelling, whereby you promise to reveal lore at a later time and then forget to.
Discount Jeremy.
What a giddying ascent the gods have bestowed on you.
What some might call giddying, others like myself would instead call infuriating. There's a quiver of arrows waiting to make this man a human pincushion, and we await with bated breath for that day to arrive.
Yes, but that's not a mistake of the episode. In fact, that's a sign that the show has done a very good job with its characterization of Kristen Cole because it successfully made the audience hate him.
And request that she grant her favor, that her Lord Commander may go into battle with her blessings in his heart.
Not being satisfied with sharing the Queen Dowager's bed and receiving her prayers of safe travels. You needed her boob tissue as well.
Yes.
They've penetrated our castle walls, and now the Riverlands are aflame after the Battle of the Burning Mill.
A battle I'm definitely glad we skipped over in 20 seconds. Yep, definitely didn't want to see a battle 3 episodes into the season.
I got a pizza delivery for a Tonka Jahari.
I'm Tonka Jahari, but I would never order a whole pizza for myself. I mean, I'll take it, but...
Here.
I mean, you guys have to believe me, I would never order a whole pizza just for myself, though. It's, like, totally not mine, but I am Tonka Jahari.
Its council would do well to remember that their queen wears the crown of my grandsire, Jaehaerys the Conciliator.
But just because Jaehaerys was a great ruler doesn't mean that Rhaenyra automatically is. Those two factors are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
Yes, we know that, but you're once again treating a character's perspective as objective fact when that's not what it's meant to be. Jesus Christ, do you ever learn, or do you just remain in your cringeworthy ignorance no matter what?
Should all come to ruin here, you will bear our hope for the future.
Placing all that pressure on a teen girl who's already been sentenced to raise your 2 baby sons.
Which isn't a mistake of the episode, it's a mistake of the characters and society within the episode.
No one will be seated as Rhaenyra kisses the tops of all her children's heads.
So who was right? I mean, about all of this?
Every religion guessed about 5%, except for Doug Forsett.
Who's Doug Forsett?
Well, Doug was a stoner kid who lived in Calgary during the 1970s. One night he got really high on mushrooms, and his best friend Randy said, "Hey, what do you think happens after we die?" And Doug just launched into this long monologue where he got like 92% correct. I mean, we couldn't believe what we were hearing. That's him, actually, right up there.
Rumors that the king readies himself to fly to war.
This episode is 67% people fighting about whether or not the king should go to battle or remain where he is. I don't think the entire run of Next Generation had as much commotion about why the captain should remain on the ship than this one episode does.
Cool, and why is that a sin? You haven't provided any justification for this being a sin whatsoever. Also, discount.
Turns out it was her sister. No one's ever told me.
Audience doesn't see character deliver the beginning of the joke, giving the audience only the punchline as everyone laughs. Cliché.
That's not a cliche.
The blood of the dragon runs through these veins, and yes, men would take my head for it.
Bragging about how many people want to kill you.
And that's a sin because... Oh, you don't have a reason? Okay.
Well, I'm sure that won't come back to burn Aegon in the future.
Ha ha ha. So funny because it does happen and he said it won't happen. Much funny, so comedy.
Teasing me with the first dragon action in 3 episodes only to have it end in disappointment 45 seconds later.
Well, here's one dwarf she won't ensnare so easily. I have the eyes of a hawk and the ears of a fox.
Move under the trees and by cover of dark starting tonight.
Far be it for me to question things like the geography of Westeros, but are there thick lines of trees from King's Landing that stretch all the way to Harrenhal?
This dumb question has literally already been answered by this episode. You see this stretch of land that doesn't have trees? Yeah, the answer is no. There aren't trees the entire way from King's Landing to Harrenhal.
Time for action is surely now.
Thing I said every time Daemon was on screen throughout the season somehow makes its way into the episode.
Motorcycles are death machines. I have 3 kids. I'm not risking it. Are you saying my life matters less because I don't conform to society's heteronormative, child-centric ideals? Are you really playing the gay card right now? Yes, Queen.
I have heard your arguments and will consider them.
This whole episode is about considering arguments and needs to be more about dragons. I want more dragon action. Is that too much to ask?
I'm saying you're a football player. It's in your blood. That's racist. Your soul. That's racist. Your eyes. That's gay. That's homophobic. That's black. That's racist. Damn.
Always coming and going on here.
Well, going I'll grant you, but we've seen evidence Daemon occasionally has trouble with the other part of that sentence.
Discount Jeremy discusses coming.
I would speak with her myself.
Killing her would be easier.
Staying to work for Rhaenyra because she's merciful, only to chide her for showing mercy to Alicent.
This is an example of a character being flawed, not the episode being flawed. Did I say he has the intellect of a 5-year-old? Yeah, I probably should have said a brick.
Yeah, I stabbed a man in the heart. I saw that. Brick killed a guy. Did you throw a trident? Yeah, there were horses and a man on fire, and I killed a guy with a trident.
War can be averted. It is my duty to avert it.
What exactly is Rhaenyra's plan here? To tell Alicent, hey, sorry we decapitated your grandson. Eye for an eye and whatnot. We cool now?
No, it's to do exactly what she ends up doing later in this very episode. What the hell is this sin?
No, Rhaenyra was just told.
Most folk pay no mind to a woman who has not dressed as a queen or lured herself with the eyes of men.
But she could have at least attempted to cover up her face a little more just in case.
She could have, but it clearly wasn't necessary seeing as she doesn't get caught. What was your point?
We know this is Rhaenyra, but Alicent doesn't yet. She probably thinks this is just a Westerosi nun, which leaves me wondering if this is like the praying woman's equivalent of one man peeing at a urinal and a second guy choosing the urinal right next to his when there's an entire line of them to pick from.
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like intelligence at TVSins headquarters.
See, blood and glory. But you, I know you do not have that desire within you.
She seemed pretty eager to seek blood when she wanted your son's eye gashed out and ran at him with a knife. Did you forget that part, Rhaenyra?
Discount Jeremy doesn't understand emotions ex machina.
I'm a mother too, and you have yet to answer for the murder of my son. I repudiate that act with all my heart. Of course you do.
Me. Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook are so good together. They play off of each other like lifelong rivals for power who still struggle with the fact that they were childhood friends. And I would absolutely remove a sin if the show didn't consistently keep these women apart.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
You know what Aemon is?
You mean we know what Aemon was allowed to become without any love or support in his life from either parent?
Right, but yet again you're sinning a character for being flawed instead of sinning the episode for being flawed. It's almost to the point that I need to make a new cliche for this bullshit.
Killing your wife, niece. Weird how there isn't a specific aside for that one.
And why is that a mistake of the episode? Oh, you don't have an actual reason? Cool.
Let's see what your Lord Paramount is made of.
Eventual dialogue from the inevitable Streaming Wars movie franchise somehow makes it into the episode.
A cringeworthy joke that nobody laughed at somehow makes it into the video.
Daemon being an awkward ass by picking the urinal closest to poor young Tully.
Which fits Daemon's character perfectly, so what was your point?
How fares your grandsire?
He lies in a kind of waking sleep.
Well, apparently the Lord of the Riverlands has been keeping up with this season of House of the Dragon too.
Do you ever stop eating?
I'm hungry.
I was not told his savior was so comely.
Describing your bastard stepson as comely. The poor man has an uphill battle as it is without this confusing boner to contend with.
Discount Jeremy says boner.
He was the sailor who plucked you from your watery grave.
I did not think it relevant.
If only the show was of the same mindset. Maybe we could all be spared the soap opera-inspired he is the father drama.
Kristen Cole's host has taken to exploiting the tree cover to conceal its movements. He now only travels by night to confound our dragon.
Hold on a second. Are we saying the dragons are confused beyond all usefulness by darkness? They can't spot an entire f***ing army because it's nighttime? How is a lack of lumens their one true weakness? Don't they live in a fucking cave?
And this sin right here demonstrates the dishonesty of TVSins perfectly. Bayless said that Kristen Cole is using the tree cover and darkness to move his forces, not just darkness. But Discount Jeremy is predicating this entire sin on Cole only using darkness.
You should have burned them when you had the chance.
Armchair quarterbacking a dragon war.
Armchair pointing things out on the screen.
I know the Riverlands. He has more disentangling ahead of him than the end of a Lycini orgy.
Comparative metaphors that I have to look up in order to feel included. Lisa's only been mentioned like 6 times in like 13 years, and I have so many weird dragon names to remember. Not to mention all the Aegons, the Daemons, the Aemons, and the Raymonds.
Discount Jeremy has Alzheimer's, dementia, and amnesia all at once ex machina.
Council is rudderless.
No, rudderless would mean that Rhaenyra was here, but she didn't have people like Alfred to give instructions to, which we all might actually prefer.
That's just your personal opinion, and I guess also the opinions of your mindless sycophants, but given your less than impressive track record, and the fact that you didn't bother to justify your opinion, I can't accept this.
What has come of this council?
I know this is pretty much how it would go down, but it's really not a good look for the show to have Corlys swoop in and save the day here.
So you started this sin by mentioning the exact thing that renders the entire rest of the sin invalid. Thanks for doing my job for me.
Oh, a battle! Let's go! It all happened off screen again, didn't it?
Give me the bill.
No, I got it. Oh, no.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
It doesn't do me much good to have subtitles for your High Valyrian if I still have to Google the words on the screen, damn it.
Sinning the episode for your stupidity.
That is a rich indulgence.
The fact that Larys can apparently tell what this pot contains by sight alone suggests that the good maester should add some variety to the delivery containers for his plantee.
But why? Are you going to explain how this is a mistake of the episode? No? Okay.
So considering Alicent wouldn't even tell the maester who the anti-baby potion was for, I can't believe she so haphazardly left it on the table to be discovered by whichever man next chooses to violate her privacy.
Alicent made a mistake, not the episode. Once again, you're expecting characters to never make mistakes, which is really, really dumb.
He's covered himself in glory, to be sure.
And maybe one day the show will cover us in his glory by actually showing one of these battles on screen.
The war will be fought, many will die, and the victor will eventually ascend the throne.
Making promises that this season will refuse to deliver.
People ask me if Survivor's fun. I tell them, hell no. Survivor ain't fun. Going on a cruise is fun. You know, going fishing's fun. Going to play golf's fun. This ain't fun. I mean, look at me. Golly.
See, Daemon is following an eye-patched version of himself because he's more like Aemon than he wants to admit, because subtlety is just not in this castle's hallucinatory vocabulary.
I'm sorry, but you of all people accusing this show of not being subtle enough is wild. You struggle to understand the basics of storytelling, and you make countless mistakes in every single video, and you never understand any nuance, and yet you're giving this a sin? Give me a break.
It's a touch late to be talking about a strange castle putting its people to the sword.
Well, unfortunately, there weren't any unstrange castles available to him, and his dragon won't fit in the corridors.
Cringeworthy joke is worthy of cringe.
I'm called Alice.
Oh, I don't know why she's scheming or why she's in the know. Will Daemon do a treason? Will we even care to know?
Discount Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche.
Bastard.
Once you get to know me, you'll find I'm not so bad.
And you'll have plenty of time to get to know her, because wandering Harrenhal and talking to Alice is all Daemon does in this episode.
And Discount Jeremy doesn't understand character development, because of course he doesn't.
Here, drink this.
Accepting this beverage from a self-proclaimed witch in a strange castle that you just stole. Also, hang on a minute. Is this the same Daemon that upon arriving at Harrenhal refused to eat dinner or drink wine because he was worried about being poisoned? Then a witch tells him he'll die in the castle and offers him a goblet of bloody things, and he's all clink clink bottoms up.
It seems to fit Daemon's character. He doesn't trust the lords because of the conflict currently happening, but he does trust the witch because, from his perspective, she has the answers that he's seeking about the things he's seeing.
Bore me. You all bore me.
And yet, somehow, it appears to be a mystery to Aegon as to why everyone insists on ruling without him.
It's called characterization, my guy. Try to keep up. Arrogance is a very powerful thing.
Also, I'm kind of with Aegon. Remember when these small council meetings used to be fun? You have Littlefinger being a scheming creep, Tywin being a plotting bastard who's tired of everyone's Varys verbally slaying everyone in sight. All we have here is Larys, who I think we only like because his name rhymes with Varys, and a selection of blank faces that the show has given little to no personality. I'd be skipping these meetings too.
Oh, so you haven't actually been watching the show? That's a weird thing to admit.
Those men at your council table earned their seats.
Believing that anything in King's Landing is a meritocracy. I'm pretty sure the Lannisters just buy their seat on the council. Sir Criston is essentially failing upwards thanks to Alicent and Aegon pushing him away from death. Aemon has a dragon, so no one's arguing with him. And as previously mentioned, I don't even know enough about the other council members to argue for or against their qualifications. No, I won't read the bloody books until George bothers to finish writing them.
Pretending that you know how to read. Also, you're taking Alicent's words at face value. This is merely what she thinks. The episode isn't suggesting that it's the truth.
We shall move now and strike by day. They will not expect it.
They will not expect it because it is f***ing madness.
Cole's confident because he knows that Vhagar will be at Rook's Rest to back them up. Sweet. But why is he keeping a secret from Sir Slowhorses over here? I mean, it's a great way to hide the plan from the audience, but isn't there some advantage to telling your number 2 guy what the f***ing plan is in case he accidentally f***s it up through ignorance?
Yes, it would be advantageous, but once again, you're completely ignorant about the concept of characterization. Criston Cole is incredibly arrogant and he butts heads with Gwaine, so keeping this plan to himself makes sense for his character.
Either I win my claim, or die.
Episode makes the bold move of confirming that Rhaenyra is, as we suspected, exactly where she was at the end of Season 1.
The end of Season 1 marked the beginning of the conflict. This is Rhaenyra accepting the fact that war is inevitable. Conflict doesn't automatically necessitate war, buddy.
We'll go.
My queen. Send me.
No, you must send me, Your Grace.
Hey, can you wake me up when they figure out which Pokemon to use and the dragon starts?
Be shy. Let's talk to her.
I love you.
Okay? No, just,
What do you mean, again? Rhaenyra just said...
I inherited 80 years of peace from my father.
Either Rhaenys is a lot older than we thought, or someone's being very flexible with their definition of peace.
There was the war for the Stepstones, which is the most likely candidate. And no, that doesn't contradict Rhaenyra's line about inheriting 80 years of peace because the Stepstones are not in Westeros. If you take her line in context, she was referring to peace within Westeros.
Also, I keep forgetting that a key motivation for Rhaenyra is based on protecting the realm from a zombie uprising that one of her relatives once had a dream about over 100 years ago. Just because it ends up being right, it doesn't make it any less of a weird thing to go to war over.
You're joking, right? Do you not realize that people throughout history have gone to war over their alleged gods and other superstitions, not to mention countless other weird motivations? This sin is bullshit.
Again, maybe if all the people with the ability to screw up the master plan were made aware of the master plan, shit like this wouldn't happen.
Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
This was your secret plot, Cole. For the king himself to lay ambush and mayhap die in the attempt.
Nope. It just so happens that Aegon managed to time his spontaneously unplanned arrival exactly with the signal arrows that you just released. I know Aegon knew the battle was happening, but this timing is insane when you think about it.
So you admit that he knew the battle was happening, which makes it much more likely for him to have good timing, but you still sin it? Come on, man.
Okay, cool shot, but why the f*** is Aemon approaching the battle from this low? He doesn't have the excuse of being drunk like Aegon, so why isn't he attacking from way the f*** up in the clouds?
He says this while showing Vhagar beginning to ascend.
I am small dragon. I bite.
Skip.
Dracarys!
Look, I know I've been crying for some dragon action all this season, but now it feels icky. Every time they come out to play, one or more of them dies. I don't want my dragon math to glide us in the wrong direction, but I think there are fewer than 20 dragons out there in the world, right? That is beyond endangered. So if one of them dies, I feel like it needs to be for a really good reason and not just because Aegon is drunk driving and Aemon had his feelings hurt in a brothel that one time.
Governor, could you please shut up? And that goes for all you. I can't listen to your for one more damn second.
So I know Aemon hates Aegon, but what the f*** did Sunfire do? Dragons are a precious commodity and you're going to kill one of your own? Aemon's a smart man, and it's pretty disappointing that this is his best tactic to get rid of Aegon, a person he's been manipulating just fine up until now.
What do you want him to do? Politely ask Aegon to get off his dragon so that he can stab him, which is much more difficult to cover up than having Aegon get caught in the crossfire of a dragon battle?
We're led to believe that these two are experienced dragon riders. So is this how most dragon fights end up? In a flaming death spiral?
Simply asking a question does not automatically necessitate a sin.
Damn it, Rhaenys. What does she think she's doing? She has been set up as one of the most formidable dragon riders in the world, so how has she been outmaneuvered by this Why was she flying so low to the ground? Sudden altitude sickness? There is no way she believes Vagar is out of this fight, so why isn't she in f***ing orbit trying to find him?
She was trying to find him. Sure, in the heat of battle, she made the mistake of not going higher, but again, that's not a mistake of the episode, it's a mistake of the character within the episode.
Ah! 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 Oh!
Mark my words, this is a black omen.
Don't they realize we won the battle?
Strange victory. If it was one.
Episode opens on 10 seconds of castle porn. Oh my. Just look at those thick, sturdy ramparts.
Unfunny sex joke is unfunny.
Sitting, crying, staring. Excitement?
Yet again, I'm forced to wonder why excitement is the only emotion you think is allowed to be evoked in a TV show.
Behold! The traitor dragon Maylis!
Acting as if Maylis had much choice or cares about who sits on the Iron Throne. This is like blaming a dog, or a boat, or sword. It goes where the owner goes.
Discount Jeremy fails to understand symbolism in a scene that is literally all about symbolism.
Don't they realize we won the battle?
Kristen Cole doesn't realize that in war, nobody wins. One side just dies less. Thank you for coming to my Sin Talk. Don't forget to try the slimy potatoes on your way out.
And now you're ignoring the fact that characterization exists, and this fits Kristen Cole's character perfectly.
Traitor dragon Maylis! I thought the dragons was gods.
Homeschooling.
It's just me.
Well, he's right. But they only brought the head into this starving city, so here's a sin for wasting food.
Wait a minute. You show a scene in which one of the common people says that they thought dragons were gods, but then you say that the army should have brought the dead dragon back to the city as a food source? These people aren't going to eat dragon meat if they think dragons are gods. Think, dude. Think.
I'm worried y'all took away the wrong lesson from how much everyone liked Patty's slow walk entrance in season 1. We liked that slow walking because it was a dying king coming to defend his daughter one last time. It was epic. This is just an idiot in a box.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
Episode making me think for even a second that they were about to squeeze salted lemon juice out and all over Aegon's burnt body. F*** you, Hot D. F*** you.
This sin should have gone to you, not the show, given that you made a random assumption.
His Grace fought valiantly.
He did not. Your Grace fired one shot that mostly missed the target and then proceeded to get the beatdown of a lifetime from Rhaenys and Aemond. It was like watching Naranch and the other gang members beat up on the man in the white suit in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
Kristen Cole marches about the Crown Lands unchallenged.
Well, of course he does. You'd be untouchable too if your name was as cool as Kristen Cole. It's not their fault Rhaenyra's side can't find a person with an equally or more awesome name.
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like the Allied powers at a Trump rally.
I myself must do it.
My queen, you are the crown. It's out of the question.
What would you have me do?
Not sure, but I'm just glad the rest of this episode won't be spent with people talking and trying to answer this question, along with Allison and company trying to figure out who will be put in Aegon's place for the time being. I mean, that'd be crazy to spend an entire hour on just 2 conversations, right? Right?
Jace, where are you going?
To Harrenhal. To treat with the Daemon.
Oh good, that's just what we need. 2 people from Team Rhaenyra stuck in the ghost castle that sucks all the fun from their characters.
I'm not listening to your foolishness anymore. La,
Are you really doing this right now?
la.
I can sit still no longer.
And yet, I can pretty much guarantee you will do nothing but sit still for the next 4 episodes, all the while moping and complaining about every single thing. It's quite the character arc.
Did you just imply that his entire character arc happens in 1 episode? Discount Jeremy doesn't understand character arcs.
She will not like it.
Then don't tell her. Not until I'm away.
Asking your fiancé to lie to your mother and risk the wrath of her future in-law. Do you want monster-in-law? Because this is how you get monster-in-law. Although, if that gives us Jane Fonda playing a badass warrior of some kind in a future episode, I'm down.
You're not funny and nobody likes you. Dragons were a people hatched out of the deepest of the seven hells, your grace. It would be a kindness to oblige them and send them back whence they came.
All this mano-y-mano back and forth would be even more intriguing if I knew who the f*** any of these people, outside of Daemon, were.
That's kind of the point, my dude. The individuals don't matter, only the families. Their hostility isn't due to interpersonal relationships. It's a dogmatic familial feud.
There are things the crown itself must not be seen to do.
Asking the only house that declared for you in the Riverlands to secretly commit war crimes is one thing. Not showing us any of those heinous actions or their effect on the people upon which they're being committed is another. We expect Daemon to do this shit, but then we also expect entertaining television when he does. The problem is nothing will come of this but more off-screen calamity.
We see the effect that it has on the River Lords when they gather at Harrenhal later. Look, if you want to complain about the episode not showing us the broader effects that these actions have on the people, then that might actually be a good sin. However, he makes it sound like no effects were shown whatsoever, and as I already pointed out, that's a lie. You shouldn't need to lie in order to fill a video.
The Eyrie itself is impregnable.
As my uncle always said, you never know if an Eyrie is impregnable until you try to lick it. But maybe I shouldn't take gastronomic advice from someone who always has powdered sugar on their face.
I am now the sovereign. I cannot do as I please.
Whining about being the very thing you're fighting a war to maintain.
Pointing things out on the screen.
There is more than one way to fight a war.
But there is only one way to watch a war, which is by giving us a f***ing war to watch.
It's flat and it stinks.
Can you get it to work? Do you know what's wrong?
Chill out. Let the man do his thing.
Dude, that beer's been sitting there since before Rocky 3. Maybe even 2. It's probably poisoned by now.
Skeletor seems to like it. Bottoms up.
Meanwhile, on Daemon Season Here's things that do not advance the overall story arc in any way. Still workshopping the title.
I'm an English major with a concentration in creative writing. One of the first things you learn in advanced writing courses is that your characters are what drive the story. Everything in a story revolves around the characters. Daemon's storyline this season is almost entirely focused on developing his character, which directly plays into the story because he ends up affirming his loyalty to Rhaenyra and securing the loyalty of the River Lords. TLDR, Discount Jeremy doesn't know shit about storytelling.
You should address me as my king.
But you're the prince.
What would you call the husband of the queen?
TV show about dragons burning cities and tearing each other to shreds has time for this.
Removing Sir Simon's response to Daemon is downright criminal.
You should address me as my king.
But you're the prince.
What would you call the husband of the queen?
Well, the king.
There it is then.
Consort.
Shove these 5 sins where the sun don't shine.
The armor was Valyrian steel, but his grace suffered grievous burns over much of his body.
You can tell me the armor was made of magical tungsten carbide and forged in the fires of Mount Northrop Grunham, and I still wouldn't believe for a second that Aegon would still be f***ing alive.
Okay, so this sin harkens back to a previous sin about Aegon surviving the Dragonfire. In this scene, the Grand Maester provides the mechanism by which Aegon was able to survive, but Discount Jeremy responds by saying, "Nuh-uh. Sorry, but that's not good enough. Here are 2 sins for this one and the earlier one."
Experience is valuable, yes, but the Dowager Queen is a woman.
Being surprised when the men you told Rhaenyra wouldn't let a woman rule, all choose to not let a woman rule.
Who said anyone is surprised? You're just making shit up.
What is our standing in the Riverlands?
Well, Your Grace, standing is about all that's happening in the Riverlands right now. Daemon has been standing there all season doing nothing.
Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
Someone cut down the f***ing rat catchers.
Can we see them cut down the f***ing rat catchers? That would almost qualify as action in this episode. Okay, I don't really want to see them cut down the rat catchers, but I kind of do.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long, Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him.
Good strategy you've got there. As every riot cop on the force will tell you, the one thing that stops an angry mob is a fierce command to disperse.
What do you expect them to do? Take off their armor and let the mob overrun them?
The wind's rising. Winter's nigh upon us.
I realize there's going to be some callbacks to Game of Thrones since this is a spin-off and everything, but also be aware that when you make comments along the line of winter is coming, all you are making me do is want to watch Game of Thrones instead of continuing to watch House of the Dragon.
So your own shitty attention span is a sin of this episode? Yeah, I'm not convinced.
You fear a dragon. Leagues away.
I mean, yeah, it's a f***ing dragon. I think it would be weirder if they didn't fear the dragon. Because it's a fucking dragon.
This sin perfectly encapsulates the dishonesty of TVSins. They actively cut out the ending of this line, which makes it clear that Jaceres was mocking him for fearing a dragon that's many leagues away when his own dragon is on their doorstep.
Our fear lies in Vagar.
You fear a dragon, leagues away, when mine own sits outside your walls.
TVSins literally cut this line in half so that their audience wouldn't know the context or Jaceres' actual point.
Want Harrenhal.
Cool. I actually want to go back to talking about the table.
Skip.
Lumberjack who?
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Castle is a tomb.
Oh, look at Mr.
Skip.
Have you any message for him?
Tell him I would much like to finish our last conversation.
Goody. Another conversation.
Okay, what else? Oh yeah, we gotta trim some of the fat around here.
Trim the... What do you mean by trim the fat?
I want you to fire the fat people.
What is it, Sir Simon? Is the pudding now served?
Being grumpy about pudding. I don't care.
Skip.
Dragon or no, we shall not raise our banners for a tyrant.
At least, not for another 3 episodes.
And now you're ignoring the fact that Daemon makes amends for his actions by executing Lord Blackwood. The dishonesty of these people knows no bounds.
You chafed at being prevented from action. Imagine, my lord, I'm a dragon rider as well, with a war being fought over my ascension.
Complaining like a kid to your kid.
Pointing things out on the screen to your sycophants.
I need dragons.
My thoughts while watching this episode somehow make their way into this episode.
There are records here, surely, of our line.
Oh, good. Just what this Newsfest of a season needed. Paperwork.
Zach? Zach, the bones. What did you do with the bones?
Nothing. Dr. Brennan, I left them on the table just like you asked.
Where the hell are my bones?
Look at that, look.
I don't know about that, Zach.
This is not possible.
You're done. You're done.
That's why I get served. Look, come here, all of you. He brings that pissing over, and the big surprise. What the f is going on?
I'm gonna get through this, Chef. I'm gonna get through it.
Spoiling me with this opening of guys on horseback, guys with spears, and even this person charging in on a white horse in the background for some reason. All of that so we can listen to a Lannister talk about maybe one day doing a battle.
So you think you got what it takes?
I'll tell you what I got. Your wife's p*** on my breath.
Nobody's ever talked to me like that before.
That's because everyone's mouth is usually full of your wife's box.
You're hired.
I have 500 fighting men.
I bring 1,000 knights of my own.
What is this, a math measuring contest?
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like the United States Treasury under the Musk regime.
My men have had a long march. They are most eager to embrace the hospitality of your keep.
At this point, I'd have settled for seeing the hospitality of his keep, but even that was deemed too hot for TV or too TV for hot D or something like that.
Hup! 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 Peyton Manning reading the defense. Reggie Wayne! Hold corner!
Time you set out for Harrenhal, I think.
Harrenhal, the one place everyone talks about going, but nobody ever arrives. It's like the opposite of Hotel California, but just as annoying.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
There's a metric ton of candles lit all at the same time in this show, and the person whose job it is to keep these things going is not getting enough credit.
Thinking that lowly servants receive credit in a feudal society. Discount Jeremy doesn't know about history.
I hold an island seat with no land army.
This season is basically the worst part of playing Age of Empires.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
I am but a man. The dragons are gods.
Okay, but are they the old gods?
Skip.
We now return to Daemon wandering around his memory palace looking for more family members to bang.
And the sin is Oh, you couldn't think of one? Cool.
Everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face.
Episode brings back Paddy Considine to redo a scene from season 1 instead of having King Viserys show us something new. I mean, something old, because he's dead. Well, it would be old to him, but new to me. The point is, I wouldn't be bored. Actual footage of me trying to get out of watching this episode makes it into the episode.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina. Twice.
Stop watching me.
Damon worries about every breath he takes and every move he makes like he's dealing with Sir Simon Sting. The unintended humor of having a dragon walk up some stairs. It's like when you almost hit a bird with your car because it decided to walk across the road.
So you're expecting a dragon to fly inside a very small cave? The lack of brain cells is wild.
I'm not saying it'd work, but if times are so desperate that we're trying things outside of the box, how are you going to tell me that the Dragon Keepers don't look 1,000% more qualified to try and ride a dragon than some rando off the street?
Holy shit, there's no way he just said that. There's absolutely no way he said in the genealogy plot point earlier and then says this bullshit. This isn't just some random dude, he has Targaryen blood, which makes him eligible to be a dragon rider. The dragon trainers do not have Targaryen blood, which makes them ineligible. The TVSins writers are either aggressively stupid or insanely dishonest. The next sin is one of the most cringeworthy attempts at a joke that I've ever seen. Why does Discount Jeremy think he's funny? He's clearly not. Sure, his mindless sycophants probably laughed, but that's because they're part of the TVSins cult, so they take every single word he says as God-given brilliance. Stop trying to be funny, it's not working.
Myself, if you recall, was in favour of treating with Lord Mutton to march on Rook's Rest, a more conventional approach.
I would have believed that some nagging idiot was following Rhaenyra around the halls without seeing the whole damn thing.
And you were only going to pay me 30? You're getting 30 grand? I'm getting 1,000!
You guys are getting paid?
I've been waiting all day. I'll take anything. Scraps.
It's kind of glaring how the plight of the common folk was of little interest to the story until a bunch of them were needed for the plot. Hard to tell if it's meta or just weird that the show itself only sees poor people when it needs them.
Isn't it wonderful how you acknowledge the possibility of this being meta, but then immediately dismiss that possibility to force a sin out of the episode? The answer here is obvious. It's meta. The show only focuses on the small folk when they're needed, because that's how the nobility treats them.
Why is this anger directed at us?
I think it might have something to do with how much of the episode is just people talking around tables.
His offer was refused. The offer's been reconsidered. I said no! Why's the little dog barking?
Kind word to Otto Hightower.
I mean, you gotta put some thought into the letter, but the sooner the better to get your right-hand man back. Cliché.
I want mother.
Who even are you?
Rhaenyra's youngest child, who she sent to the Vale to protect from the war. If you had been paying attention, you wouldn't need to ask.
You hate it here.
Not that we would know this, because Rhaena has had all of 3 scenes in the Vale.
Finally, a genuine sin. It's downright pathetic that it took you over half the video to deliver one good sin, but seeing as you probably won't have any more this entire season, I'll remove one.
Stop wasting your life waiting for something that'll never come.
Title of my sex tape?
Discount Jeremy makes a cringeworthy sex tape joke that isn't funny cliché.
They say you struck Lord Bartimus today, in view of the staff and guard.
Yes, and as a result, Rhaenyra has been banned from attending the Oscars for the next 10 years.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
There is war in the Reach now, Your Grace.
Really? Could we see that?
Look, normally I'd play a pop culture clip for this kind of dumb sin, but I'd like to explain a little something for the brainless TVSins sycophants. We are seeing the war. This is war, mostly sitting around planning and plotting and enacting strategies. These people genuinely think that war involves a battle per day, but that's just not how it works.
And a feature in the fancies of many a young lady, I'll wager.
Assuming no young men would have interest in a lute-playing, sword-swinging dragon rider.
Expecting a medieval society to be accepting of gay people. Even our modern society isn't very accepting, not just of gay people, but of the entire LGBTQIA+ community. Seriously, look at Supreme Leader Trump's erasure of public health information. He's literally denying that trans people exist. My point is, the show is not suggesting that we shouldn't accept gay people, it's just portraying a realistic viewpoint on gay people.
Your Graces, we must leave. Now.
Now that you've lit all these candles, it's no longer safe. Not saying please.
You're not funny and nobody likes you.
Keep your swords!
Sheathe your swords!
Alicent always chooses the strangest time to start giving out safe sex advice.
Discount Jeremy makes a cringeworthy sex joke that isn't funny cliche.
Mine is all that remains to you.
Laris, just tell him he's f***ed. If Wolverine lost his healing factor, you wouldn't say, Logan, you must now rely on your ballet skills.
Discount Jeremy makes a...
Our own healer, Alice Rivers, volunteered her renowned skills.
I wonder if Sir Simon Strong chose to name drop Alice because he knew Damon had a crush on her, or if it was a heavy-handed way to telegraph to the viewer that Lord Grover Tully's death by natural causes may be suspect.
Or, and hear me out because I'm about to explain the origins of the cosmos, maybe both?
Has Sea Smoke found a new dragon rider? Or will Adam of...
Skip?
Even if we somehow prevailed, how will I rule a kingdom when my own son doubts me?
I assure you, having the full confidence of their teenage children has never been a prerequisite for parents to do their jobs.
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like education in red states.
Yeah, this is big brain time.
You stand before the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms with a dragon of House Targaryen.
Presenting this as if it's news. Can you imagine if Adam was like, oh shit, this is awkward. I mean, I knew you looked familiar, but I'd have bet my life this chap behind me was just a really angry flying fire donkey.
And you start off this video by completely missing the point. Rhaenyra isn't telling him that the dragon is the property of House Targaryen as if it's news. She's communicating the fact that a commoner essentially stole a dragon from the royal bloodline, and she uses that premise to ask him what he wants.
What do you want?
I want to stand a bit closer together so that we don't have to shout talk at each other. It's windy as balls out here and you're f***ing miles away. Also, I'd like to know on behalf of the fans if this means your ex-husband Laenor died off-screen or if I'm gonna have to fight him to keep Sea Smoke.
The gods call me to greater things. Who am I to refuse them?
I don't know, but wise leaps to mind. You know, based on the current life expectancy of the dragon riders on Team Rhaenyra.
Dude, how are you this stupid? Like, you watch TV shows for a living, and yet you don't understand the concept of characterization. How is that even possible? Adam has been shown to desire more than a simple commoner's life. He wants glory and honor, and becoming a dragon rider presents him with that opportunity.
You'll have a scar, but it will be easily hidden.
Thing Disney said about Lion King 2 Simba's Pride somehow makes it into the script.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
I think it's clean here.
Okay, team, this is going to be Elsa.
Skip.
My squire. He heard it from a stable hand, who heard it from his father, a fisherman, whose shipmate claims he saw it.
Show reminds me that it has also fallen victim to a game of telephone. Seems like the message started as a crystal clear Game of Thrones, but with more dragons, and has somehow become Damon moans, and who really wanted more dragons anyway?
What the hell is this sin? He starts out by complaining about the telephone game without providing any reason for why it's a bad thing. Then he rants about how the show used to be Game of Thrones with more dragons, which isn't true. And he ended by complaining about the show not having dragons anymore, which also isn't true. This entire sin is bullshit.
Is either very confident that he's standing in Aemon's blind spot, or he's fundamentally lost the will to live. Dude, at least pretend to bow or something when mad-eyed Broody is looking your way.
The fact that Laris doesn't get punished for this indicates that he didn't need to bow, and all of that indicates that this sin was bullshit. Also, Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
She wishes him to be instructed in the art of dragon riding, and that I should teach him some High Valyrian.
She didn't specify what High Valyrian.
Skip.
So he serves you, and not himself. But it's lucky.
Lucky? Or somehow ordained?
Believing those two things are functionally different in any way that matters.
Believing that a character needs to be flawless.
Let us raise an army of bastards.
Hoping to inspire some of that Game of Thrones Battle of the Bastards goodwill via plotmosis.
Except the Battle of the Bastards sucked. Sure, it looked cool, but the story and characters around it made no sense and were all brain dead. House of the Dragon isn't trying to take anything from post-season 4 Game of Thrones, trust me.
Be welcome, my lords. And you have my thanks for answering my summons.
Thanking people for something they had no choice in.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Why should we now follow a boy younger than my own sons?
Because that's how f***ing oaths work, you oaf. Things like age bother you, then you should consider ditching the monarchy and arrange for some free and fair elections. Those always go perfectly.
While I appreciate your sarcastic jab at modern politics, you're also suggesting that people who live under a feudal monarchy should never take issue with lines of succession. And do I even need to explain why that's dumb? Discount Jeremy doesn't know shit about history.
I may have been a touch enthusiastic in pursuing my aims.
Well, at least one of us is enthusiastic about your arc this season.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
Also, describing baby killing as enthusiastic in front of the people whose babies you enthusiastically secondhand killed.
Pointing things out on the screen in front of your sycophantic audience whose intelligence you murdered.
Denounce your crimes and dispense justice.
Oh dear.
Never changed, Sir Simon. Never as a character spontaneously represented by inner monologue more. You'd get your own sin removal if I didn't suspect you of being the cursed manifestation of that meme of the man who's constantly dying inside.
That fake-ass laugh. Also, Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
I never wanted it.
Neither did we, and yet the hallucinations continue.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
The fact I couldn't tell if these were moans of pain or if Aegon and the Grand Maester were exploring a new relationship says more about the show than me.
Sinning the show for a random assumption that you made for no good reason.
Also, I'm amazed that Rhaena appears to be the only person hunting down these wild dragons during a dragon civil war. I hear you, I hear you. These dragons are all built different. I hear one's a rampant sheep eater, but honestly, aren't they all? And fine, the other's a bit bitey when it comes to other dragons, but isn't that exactly what Aemon wants?
So you think that the people who are currently in a war should be sacrificing their men in a hunt for a dragon who's just going to kill them as soon as they get close? At the rate the current administration is going, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump installs Discount Jeremy as a military general, and then we'll all be
Team, we're up. It's time for another Alicent scene. This time the brief is finding purity contrast against the blood on her hands. And no, I don't want a white horse, and I don't want to see someone with literal blood on their hands. You've already filmed it, haven't you? Damn it.
And you failed to provide any reason for why this scene is bad. All you've done is explain the metaphor in the scene and then said, "That's bad because I said so."
What if one of your base-born, silver-haired dragon riders decides he wants to rule the Seven Kingdoms?
Nobody will be seated while Jace Targaryen pouts and whines. But Mom, if the other bastards get dragons, how will I know I'm still special?
Yep, it's called characterization. I don't know why you think that's a sin, but then again, you're the guy who thinks that the word cliche means anything that's happened before.
They won't be happy. They'll be very unhappy. Never live it down. Never live it down.
Allowing yourself to be peer and beer pressured into facing a dragon on the off chance it's less deadly than facing the disgruntled regulars of this pub.
Allowing yourself to point things out on the screen on the off chance that one of your brainless sycophants finds it entertaining.
I don't want you to go.
I have to, Kat.
We'll go to my brother in Tumbleton.
Listen, if you're trying to convince me to forego the chance of claiming a dragon, your alternative had better sound more epic than a retirement village for Teletubbies.
That fake-ass laugh. Also, Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
These guys are pissed off because they believe the dragons are gods and should be treated with respect, and that respect is best demonstrated by not respecting the dragon's right to choose its rider. No, I get it, Dragon Monks. As humans, you absolutely know what's best for a dragon's body.
I appreciate the parallel to modern-day abortion debates, although it's a bit hypocritical coming from you, given your boss's sexual attraction to 10-year-old Emma Watson, but the point here is that these guys aren't being rational. The fact that they believe the dragons are gods should have tipped you off to this. The episode isn't suggesting that they're right to be saying this, only that they are saying this.
I used to think I knew what it was to claim a dragon. But I understand now that what I thought I knew is ash in the wind.
Also, at least you can claim to have once known Queenie. We didn't even have a clue to start with, and it appears to be getting more confusing by the episode.
Nope, that's just you because you're an idiot. The show has made it clear that only people with the blood of old Valyria can claim a dragon, and dragons choose their riders. How difficult is that for you to understand?
With these two dragons added to our number, the enemy will have no choice but to give way.
Okay, on parchment that seems logical, but no choice is assuming a lot. Mainly it assumes that Aemon's dragon-slaying fueled arrogance won't lead him to believe that he'll win despite being outnumbered. Also, it assumes that Daemon isn't arrogant enough to go to war even after the Green surrender because, well, Daemon be murdery.
While this is all true, it's also completely irrelevant. The episode isn't suggesting that Rhaenyra is correct. She's saying this to get these commoners hyped up for the cause. I mean, think about it. Claiming a dragon is scary as shit. So she kinda needs to plant the idea in their heads that by following through with this plan, they're directly helping the war effort.
Good thing these dragons always hang out in hearing range from whomever summons them. We'll find out later that these caves actually stretch out quite a bit. Imagine how awkward it'd be if Rhaenyra called the dragon and Vermithor just didn't hear her because he was on the other side of the island nomming on a goat.
Why are you bringing up something that doesn't happen? If it doesn't happen, then it's not relevant to the episode.
Prematurely waking someone up and then telling them to stop being grumpy.
Pointing things out on the screen and then telling people to subscribe to your garbage channel.
Emma Darcy isn't telling me to dohai ras in this scene.
Discount Jeremy has a boner.
I have nothing more to tell you. It must be the dragon who speaks.
Okay, but does he have to talk to them all at once? If Vermithor rejects the first volunteer, it isn't going to be with a polite nuzzle. He usually torches the poor f***er, so aren't we looking at a lot of collateral damage? Any of these people could have possibly been the one, but now no one else gets a chance because the first guy was a wimp? Also, why were the guards told to keep everyone in here? What good's that going to do? If they're running for their lives, I doubt Vermithor's going to respect them, so let them run. At the very least, it might give one of them the chance to try again.
Oh boy. These two sins perfectly encapsulate the dishonesty of TVSins. First, he says that the first guy's death will kill all the others, but it doesn't, which means he's lying to his audience. And second, what's the difference between these people running out of the cave and running inside the cave? Seriously, they're going to be running for their lives either way. Your strategy is brain dead.
Also, I know I've been craving some dragon action, but a giant bully of a dragon munching on some lowborn was not exactly what I had in mind. Sure, call me picky, but I just don't get all that much enjoyment out of nameless innocents being flame-grilled and devoured.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
Who lit this torch? Did the members of the Dragon Pit crew draw straws to see who has to go into the Dragon Cave to light the small side torches?
This is actually a good sin. It sucks that it took over 9 minutes to get one good sin, but that's the incompetence of TVSins for you.
Sure, a dozen civilians had to die, but they had sucky lives anyway, and we're running low on sheep. Worth it. Well, at least we're seeing Rhaenyra be morally questionable up front instead of saving it for the last episode of Season 8.
Rhaenyra can't do bad thing. Rhaenyra good guy, not bad guy. Nuance not allowed.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend to understand how the dragons pick their person, but I will say that the triumph of seeing Hugh stare down a dragon with confidence juxtaposed with Ulf falling down crying a bit and still getting picked sure is a choice. It might be completely in keeping with how dragons work in this universe, and I kind of hate it.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
Choosing rodeo style for your first dragon ride and surviving.
Pointing things out on the screen and still having subscribers.
So hell yeah, what a solid way to end the season. Great setup for Season 3. Hang on, there's still an episode left. Oh, this is going to be so cool. We might even see Rhaenyra on the throne. Let's go! Wait, why isn't this a sin removal?
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like American freedom onto the Musk oligarchy.
Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
The realm's only hope is a leader who can unite it, and my brother chose you. You are the true queen, Rhaenyra. First of her name, protector of the realm. I am meant to serve you, and all of these with me, until death, or the end of our story.
It is hollow stuff from the mouth of a Lannister, whose very stables and sculleries are carved into a mountain of gold.
Well, that seems like a criminal misuse.
Skip.
Give us the stepstones. Those rocks have been disputed for a generation.
Yep. This is what we've been building up to all season, folks. A land dispute and labor negotiation. Did George Lucas write this season?
Are there helmets? Yeah, keep them with the tampons. Just basic safety.
Prince Regent may have me hanged for this.
With the armada we send now, you can topple the Prince Regent and sit the Iron Throne yourself.
In this press X for doubt moment, I don't need to read your face to know you've overlooked one tiny little fact. The big freaking dragons! But I guess given the way the show's used them, I can understand that oversight.
Another stupid complaint about the dragons, but even more important is the fact that this guy is bragging about the size of his armada, and his words should not be taken at face value. Unfortunately for everyone, you're incapable of understanding anything.
Oh, cool! Yet another piece of fiery destruction and death that happened off screen. This season has really mastered the show us the aftermath technique of battles and dragon rampages. It's almost impressive how much they've accomplished with this technique.
I'm sorry, I don't talk Llama. I'm supposed to talk Llama to you. You understand that better?
Cleared a challenger and was rebuffed.
Oh, no. He was not rebuffed. He ran away because this season hates paying for dragon battles. You know, one of the main reasons we watched the f***ing show.
I want big dragon. No story and no character, but dragon hot fire.
F***ing mad.
Stealing your dialogue from William Butcher.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
So what was the f***ing point in all this then?
Question the viewers are asking after trudging through this season somehow makes it into the episode.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
My is destroyed, did they tell you that?
But why would Rhaenyra go after you?
Skip.
They will hail the returning king.
You mean the king that in this storyline will have escaped and left them all to have to deal with Aemon's incompetency and Rhaenyra's 7 dragons on their own? That king? I'm sure he'll be welcomed back with open arms. If all those arms are attached to hands holding knives they can stab Aegon with upon their embrace.
TVSins sure does love to remove all context in order to force sins out of the episode. Larys brought up several points in this scene that they ignored. Rhaenyra has 3 new dragon riders and Aemond is extremely angry because of it, which poses a double threat to Aegon. He essentially has no choice but to flee Westeros or die. If they live in Essos for a time, Rhaenyra and Aemond will tear each other's armies apart, which will allow Aegon to come back as the savior of the people. Sure, some people might recognize the fact that he fled, but Larys points out how most of the common people will simply be tired of the deprivation and fear, and will see a savior coming to end the violence.
Let your brother and the Pretender destroy themselves in blood and bitterness when they are spent, and their armies in tatters. We will return, and the people will rise up to meet us.
I can't even piss without it running down my leg.
They will be tired of endless deprivation and fear. They will hail the returning king.
Also, if Oregon Trail taught me anything, it's that we're about to lose Rhaena to dysentery.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Adam of Hull, at least, is known to you.
I've had little to do with him.
Beyond making him, you mean?
Yup. And why is that a sin?
What I do now, I do for her.
I don't think standing in the harbor and having a conversation for the millionth time this season is honoring her in the way you think it is.
Need passage in your discretion.
This poor guy. He's keeping your secrets, he's keeping Larys' secrets, and he's already busy putting one of your children back together. Now you want him to sneak you out? I'm going to need a scene of Grand Maester Orwell lounging on the beach with a Mai Tai when this is all over. He has earned it.
Everything wrong with House of the Dragon, ladies and gentlemen. One of the characters works hard.
Steward's son from Dawn. F***ing the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
Episode has time for this brother versus sister's lover spat.
Discount Jeremy doesn't understand the fact that conflict and character development drive stories forward.
That is a bleak philosophy.
Well, this is a pretty bleak show. I don't know what else to tell you. I'd honestly like to tell you nothing, because I feel like the majority of the season's runtime has been too many people telling too many other people things.
This effort is no longer profitable!
I have no philosophy. Or rather, my philosophy was this.
Your philosophy is pointing pointy things pointingly at people?
To protect the righteous and dispense justice on the rest.
Next time, just lead with that.
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like the S&P 500 under the Trump and Musk oligarchy.
Hey, Jimmy, I'm working on the final budget for House of the Dragons Season 2. Whew, the numbers sure are high. What do you think we can do to lower some of the costs? Well, Craig, have you thought about replacing one of these dragon fights with mud wrestling instead? Oh, that's... Oh, scene does not contain a John Franklin candy.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
You're an insult to us, to what makes us Targaryens.
Disqualifying your fellow bastards because their birthing circumstances weren't documented in Rhaenyra's library of incest.
Pointing things out on the screen because you're too incompetent to find genuine mistakes in the episode.
I will be pleased to sail at your side.
I can't figure out if she's talking about going into battle with Thailand or f***ing him. And if it's the latter, how exactly does the at your side portion work?
Discount Jeremy doesn't understand the bent spoon.
We must strike while we have the advantage.
Nice.
You'll fly in 2 days' time.
Damn it.
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like brain cells at TVSins headquarters.
Episode shows us 17 seconds of visions promising us future action scenes instead of showing us any actual action scenes.
Hey, I didn't mean to cook your dog. But hey, those things just happen. I was just standing there, and his little toes, they started tapping. So
it's all a story, and you're but one part in it. You know your part.
I would have thought that having a part in this story would involve more than wandering around Harrenhal moving from bullshit to bullshit until the season is over.
And once again, the man who watches TV for a living somehow doesn't understand the fact that character development is an integral part of storytelling. Just give him 100 sins and move on.
Using what's left of your season's dragon budget to show us Rhaenyra flying to Harrenhal, because that's what we want to see. Dragons used as taxis.
Discount Jeremy shares his personal opinion despite having the intellect of a brick ex machina.
My footage of me standing in the lunchroom on my...
Skip. This next stretch of multiple sins is one of the most nonsensical pieces of bullshit that I've ever seen in my life. He complains about Daemon potentially being disloyal to Rhaenyra, which isn't true because he confirms his loyalty to her in this very scene. Then he complains about Daemon not immediately confirming his loyalty when he confirms it just a few seconds later. Then he rambles pointlessly about the Targaryen family, and he finally lies about the character development going in a circle when the reality is that Daemon was not loyal to Rhaenyra at the end of Season 1. He was questioning his loyalty, and his storyline this season solidified that loyalty. I'm giving all of this garbage 10 sins.
we fight for our queen!
But unfortunately not this season. Also, since no fighting for their queen will happen in the next 15 minutes, episode gets the prematurest of premature celebration sins to ever premature.
Shalom. I'd like to apply for a loan.
That's nice, Dwight.
Okay, do me. Something stereotypical so I can get it really quick.
Okay, I like your food.
Outback Steakhouse. I'm Australian, mate.
Son for me, Lord Hand.
Seriously, does Corlys just stand right here all f***ing day?
Everything wrong with House of the Dragon, ladies and gentlemen. A character enjoys being at the docks.
You have done what no one else would dream of.
Well, she didn't do shit. Two of her new riders were picked on a whim by their dragons, and the other guy yelled at his dragon until it was amused enough to let him live.
Rhaenyra brought a group of small folk to Dragonstone in order to involve them in the war effort. Massaria is correct here.
Look at yourself. Blood has been shed. Cities burned. Armies march, and you wish to wash your hands.
I mean, I'd hope Allison did watch.
Skip.
Crying, sniffling, sobbing, excitement.
Yet again, I'm reminded that the TVSins writers think excitement is the only emotion that is ever allowed to be evoked by TV shows.
Marking your ship with special sails so the enemy knows which boat the captain is on and where to fire their weapons.
Discount Jeremy has never heard of pride, which is ironic because it definitely seems like he takes great pride in constantly lying to his audience.
Cliffhangers that won't be resolved for at least 2 years. And knowing how this season went, I'm guessing it might not be resolved for at least 4 years.
And why are cliffhangers bad? Are you going to explain? No? Okay.
I'm tired, boss.
Oh!